crazy itch and it's fucking up my brain. Got a dark red patch and I'm rapping with this pain. It's incurable. Got no cream for this. Only meds I've got are the rapsless bit. Find a cure. I've gotta find a cure. I've been rubbing this rat with a broken handsaw and I hate it.
Hello and welcome to the Hat Chat podcast, episode
182.
Yeah,
It's 182.
that's insane. That's so.
It's
many
the age of the
Hat Chat.
Queen when she finally passed.
That's pretty crazy, isn't it?
To me, it still feels like this version of Hat Chat's the new one, but it's not. It's like 182 deep.
And also, yeah, several weeks have been missed here and there, so
Yeah, it's been a
it's
long.
not new
long
at
time.
all.
No, that's what age does to you. It makes time condense and ever increase in speed.
Does it?
It
Until you
does.
look back
I
and
do
you're
find that. I don't know if we want to get into it, but I do find that the older we get, the faster time moves.
It 100% does.
The worrying nature of our impending doom.
Oh, I don't have that bit.
Oh. Well, I mean, it's just, we are fast accelerating towards death.
Right.
So
The heat
anyway,
death?
sorry, who is speaking?
Oh, sorry. Yes,
Thank you.
I am ever-aging Chris Trott.
Hi, Chris Trott. I'm ever-aging Ross Hornby.
And I'm Katniss Everage. No, I'm Alex Smith. And yeah, time.
What a mystery, eh?
What a mystery.
Time's just
What a mystery.
an illusion.
It is. Life is an illusion. Your brain is an illusion. Your consciousness is an illusion. Everything's an illusion. That's how people lose their minds, I think, and go full psychosis mode and end up in the middle of the street naked screaming when they've just gone, fuck it, everything's an illusion. Why? Like,
I think once we hit
think
30,
it's mostly
every
drugs.
every 2 years should be 1 year. Once we hit 30, and there should only be one Christmas in that period of time as well.
yeah.
So that rather than this build up to, it's 400 days
Christmas
to Christmas.
again.
It's like, yeah, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
What?
So
Yeah,
it's-
Christmas comes around
God,
way
it's
too
just-
quick when you're an adult,
there's-
doesn't it?
Yeah.
But then that's the seasons as well, isn't it?
That is
You
seasons.
can't slow the seasons down. I think it would be best if you could slow the seasons down.
Or if you can slow the weather down or alter
Yeah.
the weather manually, like they do, which they did. Remember they made that hurricane?
Which one?
The big one that went through Florida.
Who made that?
The
God.
bloody libs.
Oh, the lips did it. Oh, did they?
Someone
Oh,
did
no.
it. And
Ross,
they were trying to blame
What
someone.
rabbit hole have you gone down?
There's no rabbit hole.
I reckon you
There-
could
pe-
actually
people were
nuke a
accusing-
hurricane.
You reckon you could nuke?
Well, I mean, it would
hurricane?
cause other forms of hurricane, but it would destroy the
cause a
existing
radioactive hurricane that
Yeah.
just accelerated the speed of radiation poisoning
Yeah.
throughout a country.
But you wouldn't die from
Populous.
hurricane.
No.
You'd die from
the radiation
nuclear
poisoning.
fallout. Yeah.
Which one's the worst death, do you reckon?
Probably nuclear
radiation.
fallout.
I've seen
Yeah.
Twister, and it wouldn't feel too bad if you get thrown up in the air like the cows did.
Yeah, well, have you seen Chernobyl?
I have seen
That
that.
dude's skin just flaked off and melted
Not
away.
many people actually died in Chernobyl, though.
No. Did they not? How many people died?
Yeah, not very many.
What was the-
Considering it was a massive nuclear, I mean, it's
No,
awful.
But, I mean,
It was
obviously,
an awful thing.
and also, I was
Don't get
basing
me
it
wrong.
off that was a TV show.
Would you stick your tongue out and catch a flake?
Yeah. Look, these snowflakes are extra tasty. My tongue went
30
numb.
people. died
30
of
people?
Chernobyl.
30.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty good. In terms of
Pretty good.
No, wait, sorry. It's bad that 30 people
What, died immediately? I don't think that takes into account the fact that everybody within. I mean, even
Well,
people.
didn't loads of people get cancer and die?
Yeah. Also, the wind.
There was a residual. It was kind of a
Yeah, we
continuous.
don't count that.
Well, they
And-
should. I think they should.
and the
count
genetic issues that came from, and all the infertility
Yeah.
problems and all the sort of stuff that comes. Anyway, not to dive into that.
Yeah.
One interesting thing I read the other day about nuclear fallout and catching flakes on your tongue.
Oh, yeah?
Is during the first American test.
Yeah.
The first American outdoor nuclear test. This was on Reddit the other day. There was there's a photograph of like 10 models or something that went for a swim in a nearby river. Well, they were about 15 miles away from the test
Are we
site or something
talking
like that.
Barbie,
15,
action
only
men?
15 miles away.
No, regular people, women.
Not model. Model
there was
figurines.
Yeah. No, they were normal living people, and they
People.
were bathing in this river, and they said they heard a massive noise. They were knocked to their feet, and they didn't know what it was. They got up, and then eventually it started snowing, and they said that they would try and catch the flakes, but instead of being like cold snow, it would be like warm, fuzzy stuff. And then they later found out, obviously, that was the first nuclear test that ever happened outside or like in the air.
Snowing in July.
And they hadn't been, exactly. It was sometime around then.
Wow.
And they hadn't been told. and like 7 out of 8 of them died within like before they were 30. So like no, the whole nuclear fallout thing is a real crapshoot.
It's not going to be as cool as the Fallout game franchise then.
Well, I suppose they're very different things because the games are quite fun to play.
It kind of makes,
but they are also not. It makes a novelty out.
I can make a scrap little like hut shell out of a thing, and then have like.
I suppose it's one of those things where like because it's pretty much. I mean, if there's any kind of nuclear war, like everything's dead, everything goes. So like you may as well.
Everything's
make light of
cool
it.
and mutated, like ghouls and like bovines with 2 cow heads. That's how Fallout's gonna happen, right? Everyone just gets mutated into cool shit. Well, super mutants.
I guess I don't really. It's hard to know like how much. I don't think you'll get the 2 bovine-headed.
I think like positive mutation is pretty low down the list of things that would happen to millions and millions of people. I mean, once in a while you might get something that change because like there's different ways that you evolve, right? There's selection pressure, there's mutation, just like random mutation, or rather environmental effects on your DNA, or willing it, or of course subjecting a person to so much threat and danger that their power manifests in that moment. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, by and large, I think radiation doesn't do positive things. It just destroys you at a cellular level.
Have you been through a Fallout?
Sorry, the game or the...
No, have you been
Right, no, I don't think no one has.
But some
people have.
Thankfully not.
Some people have.
Yeah.
But obviously those were smaller bombs.
All right.
Although they were big. Don't get me wrong.
So far, no one's turned into cool mutant things. They've just
not as far as we're aware. Although I'm almost certain
cell mutation, sure, but in
a
negative sense, yeah.
And super soldiers that have been gene edited using CRISPR,
like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Was he? It wasn't CRISPR. They just put him in like an oven for a bit.
Yeah, they did that.
Spider-Man was a radioactive spider.
We're really mixing kind of ideas and realities here, aren't we?
Yeah, that's the problem. Is the reality mixing? It's going from a place of fact to a place of fiction without any
rapidly ping-ponging back.
But then we're
and forth.
used to that, aren't we? Here,
there's no survival plan for a nuclear war. There's nothing set in place.
Where in the world or in specific nations or
specifically for America,
because the UK has a lot of bunkers.
Yeah, they might have bunkers, but there's no plan to like save the populace. It's basically you save the people at the top and then hope to rebuild whatever's left over afterwards, if possible.
Right.
There's no like, and also you can't just shoot those fuckers out of the sky. They're all really fast.
I think probably the best thing to do is put it in the hands of a mega corporation that owns bunkers just around the globe, and then they can figure out different ways.
Hang on. This is the plot
to reproduce and bring new life, but just in very radically different ways.
Do you think you should be part of the breeding block?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. If you wanted to succeed, put the hypervirile Chris Trott in there.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be reproducing.
So many people will look like you. Do you think it'll be strange that like
downside
when aliens do eventually turn up to the planet after this and go like, "How are you all doing?" and you all come out the bunker and it's just Chris Trott after Chris Trott.
Hello,
hi. We don't know how to distinguish each other, so we just speak as we.
Yeah, and the whole like chain of brothers, sons.
It's got real messy.
That's got messy. So we're just all on equal footing here.
It's a totally flat family tree.
It's very flat. I don't know who started this. Was it you?
Yeah, I was about breeding vault B.
Breeding vault.
Breeding vault.
So I actually have a positive take on the whole nuclear Armageddon thing.
Oh yeah.
That's quite a niche, isn't it?
I hope so, because I'd like
hope that it's instantaneous and you don't live on as
kind of yeah. That's
radiation
part of
poisoning.
It. So a couple of things, right? Is that like if anything like that if somebody does launch a nuclear weapon,
you
and if it goes off,
you're not even gonna know about it.
We're all everybody on the planet is dead. Not because one nuclear weapon could destroy one person, but because of the multiple fucking nations that have them. Would all simultaneously launch at each other. So it's all gone. Don't feel so bad. Mm-hmm. There's nobody left. There's nobody to look after. There's nothing here. We got to the sort of end of the sun.
Is this your optimistic take?
Of humanity? Yeah, partly. Because right. But the other part of it is because the ending is so absolute and so final.
No one's missing that.
Yeah, kind of. And then there's no reason to worry about it. It's like reading a book and worrying about it ending. Like, you read the book for the middle. You read the book for the story. When the words end,
it's about the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it is. I'm trying not to go. It's about the journey, not the destination, because like
Yeah, but the destination is inevitably death,
Exactly.
like you said, because
Yeah.
you should be just
Always has been, though.
trying to enjoy the way.
Yeah.
The path forwards is a
Death
good
is
thing.
always the answer. I
The
mean, not the
answer.
answer.
The
The
answer.
ending. It's always the ending.
Yeah.
Always has been
Well, yeah.
for humanity.
In a way, existing through some of the things that terrible leaders could do is worse than dying into nuclear
Living
fallout.
in societal collapse probably sucks.
There are elements of that.
Do you think there are small, like, kind of tiny little islands somewhere that would survive if they didn't get hit?
Not really.
Do
No,
you
because
think the
nuclear
winds would
winter,
eventually just bring it
nuclear
all
winter
over?
would engulf the planet
The
and everything
winds will
would die.
bring that radiation
What about
across.
Atlantis?
Well, if it's
Oh,
under
if
the
you're
water,
underwater, you'd be fine. Oh, yeah, you'd be right.
You'd irradiate the water, though. wouldn't
Water
you?
is pretty good at insulating against radiation, I think.
But
That's
I'd
why they put
also-
nuclear reactors.
One would
partly.
assume the real Atlantis
Huh?
that's underwater right now would
Yeah.
be in domes anyway.
It's already in dome.
One would assume.
It's
No,
already in
because
domes, yeah.
that would presume that for some reason a civilization that chooses to live at the bottom of the ocean requires air.
No, just protective domes from like currents and tides and things like that.
Right, made of what?
Debris and fish.
Coral?
Yeah, it's
Made of
entirely
coral.
yeah. The strongest known substance,
Yeah.
coral.
So sometimes death is better. Yeah, that is the positive take.
It's the most unifying thing humanity could do. It's like we all die at the same time.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I guess, the frustrating part is that you have no control over who does that, and it could just
Oh,
be some
yeah, of course.
crazy despot
Yeah.
who's just like, "Fuck it, I'm going to die anyway. Fire the nukes."
But in a way, that despot is a result of all the inputs that led up to that point, right? So, like, if a populace doesn't take out a despot, like, then that's just what's going to happen, isn't it? It's almost like, like it's like if a guy with a gun is aiming at you, and you and 10 other people have guns, and the 10 of you decide not to shoot at the guy that's going to say, "I'm going to shoot at you," you've kind of decided to let that guy shoot at you, haven't you? Like, I mean, like, obviously
Do you
there's
think there's a
different
kill
levels
switch?
of
Do you think
exposure
there's a
and
kill
danger,
switch?
but like, huh?
Like if they did assassinate Putin, then suddenly everything goes.
Quite
like,
possibly.
fuck.
Possibly. Yeah.
That'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be crazy.
If he should tell people that would protect
Yeah.
his life.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of
But of all the things.
speaking of
yeah,
assassins,
Speaking of
yeah.
assassinations,
Are you a CEO? Are you worried?
there's
CEO
a
of
new
any
job
company?
posting
Suppose
open if
technically,
you're
yeah.
interested.
There's a new job post. Well,
Yeah.
I think they've filled it already immediately, didn't they?
Did they?
I think they
Right.
looked into it, even though it's been like 2 days.
So
That
if
was
you're
a
not
health
caught
insurance
up,
company.
The healthcare operator, what's the name? United
Oh, I've got the United Health.
United Health. The CEO was assassinated on the streets
Yeah.
by some
Yeah.
sort
A
of
silenced pistol.
with silence. But the person knew what they were doing, engraved words on their bullets
Yeah.
as a message, and annihilated this person.
Yeah.
And a job posting went up like an hour later. To replace
That's
their
crazy,
job.
isn't it? That's like, that was quick work. There's like, oh fuck, the CEO didn't turn up. He's got police shot outside. Right, who wants to do the job? I don't think you would want to raise your hand straight away, would you? If people are
Like,
starting
the
to
previous one
execute
just got shot.
health
Yeah.
company officials.
I mean, even if there's multiple top people at that company, aren't there?
Ready
Oh,
to
I don't
take
think you
position.
need to be the CEO to feel like you're under threat.
no, probably not.
What's blowing my mind about this is the unifying hatred for the person that died. And it's like,
Well-
good riddance. Which I'm not saying is a... Well,
Yeah,
it's
I think
difficult.
it's just
Someone
like
died,
yeah.
got assassinated. However, there's so much vitriol for the health insurance scam, essentially, where lots of people have died as a result of them being denied healthcare and insurance.
Yeah.
So a lot of that hatred is pinned on this person that made the executive decisions to deny people healthcare, right? And
Yeah.
now that he's dead, so many Americans are coming out saying, fuck yeah.
Well, yeah, it's highlighted how ugly that system is.
Yeah.
And how and it obviously makes me feel appreciative of what we've got. That we don't have to worry about private healthcare and stuff in this
Yeah,
country.
well,
We don't have to go, oh, do I call an ambulance or do I die here? I don't know. Can I afford it? It's not a question you should be asking when you're talking about health.
The question you will be asking is, how long would that ambulance take to turn up?
This is the question. And sure, there are flaws in it and we can slag it off, but I'm not paying, $100,000 to, help my wife give
Yeah,
birth.
no, for
Do you know what I mean? Stuff
Yeah.
like that. And yeah, you can see why they might turn against the guys at the top.
I don't
Wicked
think the
Witch is
NHS
dead.
is going to last another decade.
Do you reckon?
I really don't. I think that
In what
we're
sense?
all going to be moving to private healthcare.
Maybe the planet won't either.
Yeah, maybe not.
Or
That's kind of
humanity.
why I'm looking forward to it.
Fucking hell.
Well,
I'm not-
that'll be very worrying for us, yeah. Because I mean, well, it's what's weird is like everyone's uniting against this idea and kind of celebrating this guy's death, but like they also won't vote for somebody who will actually help that cause.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, what can you do? Do you know what I mean? You're not choosing to go for it. They're all calling it random names like Obamacare and whatever, Medicare, and confusing people. When in actual help, like it's just trying to help you.
Yeah, I
Rather than
mean,
charge you silly amounts or put you into crippling debt just so you can survive or
yeah.
attach a certain finger to choose.
Yeah, no, it doesn't surprise.
It's crazy.
I mean, what it God, I'm so conflicted about my opinions on this and what it actually means, because like you've got to remember your perceptions and your desire for things are shaped like only in a matter of years. You can change your belief in things. For example, I was always against the death penalty for a long time because I always
What's
felt
changed?
that. I tell you what's changed: living in a city and
So many people you'd rather have
talking
killed.
to police.
Oh, right.
Right.
Like talking to social healthcare workers, things like that. Where like I don't know what the answer is to a person who has committed 50 plus offences, spends 2/3 of the year in prison and 1/3 out of it, costs the country 60 grand a year to put them in prison, and we don't have the and the social infrastructure required. The problem is when you come to people who are like, let's call them chronically criminal, chronically addicted, whatever you want to call it. People who have a really shit life and are living a shit life because of what happened to them and what they continue to have to do and what they have done, etc., etc. I'm not necessarily laying blame at that person's feet. What I'm asking is, how do you create functioning societies where we cannot afford to establish the massive social welfare that's required to save a person like that? You know, things like trying to create a family, a social structure that supports them, giving them a reason to try harder, giving them opportunities. You know, all these people, they don't have any of those opportunities. These people do not have strong family structures around them, strong friendship structures around them. They're fucked. They are just non-functioning members of society. I don't know what the answer for that is.
But
You know? And these people are mugging people.
Sure,
They're breaking
those people
people's
exist, but there's
homes.
also so many cases as well of like people who've just been fucked over by the justice system, didn't do those things, and if they got sentenced
Systemic
that,
issue, isn't
that'd
it?
be fucked. And also then
Absolutely.
then also if power went into the wrong hands, that could be abused to high hell. So it's like,
But let's say, what if
It's
it
a
was
difficult
50
situation,
repeat
isn't it?
crimes? It's not. I'm not just talking about execute people for their first, second, third crime.
no, I know, but
I'm
like,
talking about
it's
a massive
it's a slippery
examination.
slope opening that door, isn't it? That's the
It
thing.
is, but what I'm saying is it's important is to not establish it as a slope. If you establish ground rules, as in like things like, I mean, America did the 3 strikes rule, which is bad.
What's that? Just like,
So the 3 strikes rule was basically if you committed 3 crimes,
Hmm.
regardless of their jail time, you would then get a mandatory jail sentence after the 3rd crime. So let's say, for example, the 3 crimes you commit were shoplifting, because you need to shoplift baby formula.
Sure.
The 3rd time you do that, you get sent to prison for 4 or 5 years, right? And that was an attempt to try and do this, to try and intervene. But it's fucking terrible.
so regardless of the actual crime. So regardless of the crime it was.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So this would be like a more complicated, much more complicated take on that. And again, I'm not saying I'm necessarily what the original point I was trying to say is like your views over the years can change quite dramatically. And when we were talking about initially started talking about people
Healthcare.
celebrating the death of this person,
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
and being like, yes, fantastic. I think my initial reaction was like, fuck you, you know, as in fuck that guy. Fuck
yeah, but-
finally,
but,
somebody stood up and done this stuff.
Because this person's, but then obviously it's more of a statement on
Yeah.
corporate greed over the health of a population, and he's a statement of that, right? That's why it is like fuck you, because
They're intertwined though in that situation.
well, sure, yeah, in this situation, but like this is a metaphor for all of those companies and those
Yeah.
guys basically
Yeah.
stopping certain people from having healthcare over others
Yeah.
for very specific reasons,
Mm-hmm.
some pointless reasons, etc. And yeah, you can see people who have been affected by that, which is quite a lot, clearly, by the reaction, are celebrating it. But they wouldn't probably wish someone to die. But the fact that it happened, they're like, oh, I'm not sad about it.
Okay, so now let's talk about, and again, what I'm talking about here is a shift in perceptions, a shift in the way people express themselves, the way that the things that they are happy happening within their society. another element of this is Russia. Okay, so it's the war in Russia. None of us want World War III, but something that I have seen over the last couple of years is an increasing want by citizens within the UK, at least, for people to do more about Russia, to give Ukraine more weapons, to strike deeper, for the French, Germans, Danish, all the people that are involved, to do more and more and more to finally put Putin in his place, etc., etc. And what that is it's a societal step towards a desire for war, right? So this is in a lot of games, like a lot of RTS games, Civ games, things like that. There are games. There's a thing called, I'm trying to remember what they call it. It's about how much your population wants war. They call it, I think, war fatigue or something like that. A lot of people call it
war favor.
So it's about, and this is a real thing. This is a measurable thing. It's about how much your population will back the desire for the country to suffer, for people to die, for the economy to be geared into war, manufacturing, all these sort of things, right? And you have to prepare your population psychologically for them to be up for that, to support that, right? And so if you think about how all of these opinions and all of these mindsets are slightly changing, becoming more violent, perhaps more in favor of certain elements, it's all a reflection. And myself, I've been influenced by it, and I'm sure everybody else is as well. And you've kind of just got to you got to step back and go like, well, 5 years, why did we think like that, and what's changed? You know, I don't know. I just think it's interesting, kind of scary, because sometimes I find myself thinking these ways. I'm like,
I think it's the mentality of because there's this constant threat and this person constantly bringing up nuclear weapons, etc., and war, and starting a war in a country that wasn't asking for it at the time. It's just, I guess you will be like, well, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't really want to go to war or to accelerate things as far as going. You basically want to stop, and then you want Ukraine to keep their country and not have to give anything into him. Because obviously the more you give into them, he knows he can then take that further, which is the other risk of not taking all your weapons out and stopping that fight.
Yeah.
You're basically just helping them kind of hold that wall so that they don't go further towards us as well.
Yeah.
Which I guess is what they're really trying to stop.
In part, yeah.
It's done out of selfish need. We don't want them to come this way.
Well, also the trickle of supply to Ukraine as a way to bleed our bleed our enemy, to make them weaker. Yeah. What do you think, Trott?
I'm just
organising your thoughts.
Not even that. Even putting a coin into this debate is so out of my depth of knowledge that I don't want to misstep or say anything that's misconstrued. I just don't think I've got a horse in this race, so to speak, to give a valid or useful or meaningful or productive response.
To what?
To any of it.
Even the CEO thing?
There's gut reactions and things like that. Yeah. And I think it's important, like you say, to take a step back every now and again. It's like, am I being influenced by the zeitgeist of what's going on in my country and the media I'm consuming, etc., etc.? But at the same time, I'm also part of it by engaging with it right now. People are listening to us talk about it. There's an influence there. So I feel like I'm trying to be more conscious about that rather than just speaking of my mind unfiltered as I usually do. So, yeah, I think it's a lot. It's a big fucking subject to talk about the death of a CEO and insurance scams and the war on
you started the death of the CEO thing.
Yeah, I said talking about.
You started it.
I started in speaking of assassinations in a light-hearted tone, so we can make a joke of it and move on. But instead, we've gone.
But no, it's surprising the reaction, isn't it? Just because obviously, we don't really have the same relation to healthcare insurance companies as America does. So we don't. That's not something we would say. If the head of NHS suddenly got shot dead, we'd be like, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
that's fucked up."
Yeah.
Whereas they're like, these greedy bastards have rinsed our families. We're completely indebted because of these companies. They denied my grandfather care. My dad's dead because of this guy. You would feel personal anger. We don't feel that because it hasn't affected us directly.
No, but you take these anecdotes,
and in those scenarios, I then compared it to the NHS, and I've recently seen how good the NHS is. And how grateful I am that we have something like that in place. So fuck having to deal with a company that would be like, you didn't tick this box, so therefore we're not going to give your dad care. So go fuck yourself. That would be so shit.
What's annoying
can't
about
even imagine that
humanity
situation.
is that it often requires some level of personal attachment to a thing in order to care about it.
Yeah, to empathise with it, you have to be...
Because like most people...
But it takes a
affected
willingness
sometimes.
to expose oneself to criticism and danger as well, which is exactly what this person has done.
Yeah.
The vast majority, like loads and loads of people have probably lost loved ones in America because of this sort of shit. People getting denied it.
I wasn't talking about that. I was just talking about like the care of the NHS, saying like it's shit, and like the wait times, the ambulance times, etc., until something personal happens to an individual and the NHS saves a life, and all of a sudden like I actually want to make sure NHS survives, instead of just falling into this fatalistic, nihilistic like NHS is going away and it's being sold, but I haven't had anything affect me about it. I can afford private healthcare, etc. That's what I wasn't like relating to the American CEO
But you're right, like it does take sometimes a personal thing that you're like, oh shit, like it does, because obviously we consume media where there are people who are like, oh yeah, we should get rid of the NHS, get rid of all these, and it's like I never really understand that viewpoint personally, because it's only really ever been a benefit. Yeah, there is flaws in these things. Yes, they're expensive. Yes, we pay for it, like, you know, out of, you know, our taxes and stuff, but like I could never imagine going the other way, which is what we're seeing an example of.
where the
in
individual's
America,
lumped with an
where,
insurance bill.
and then even then, like even if you pay your premiums and stuff, there's still a chance you'll get denied. And it's like that's what's fucked up
crazy,
about that whole situation. And like I don't wish death upon this guy. I don't know who this guy is, but it's more of the metaphor of that specific symbol. He's become a symbol of he's that corporate greed. Someone took him down, and everyone's celebrating this kind of
everyone
vigilante.
that had a loved one or themselves failed by this insurance company. That person is the symbol, like you say.
But I wonder if it's going to cause like copycat things. Like I wonder if suddenly all CEOs are going to suddenly start going, oh shit, like you know this imbalance of uber rich versus, you know, the ever growing poorer people. This type of thing will be celebrated by people who are like, fuck that greedy cunt.
A lot of people are hoping that this is like the end of the capitalism, and this is the start of a snowball of like eat the rich kind of situation. But I think that's more, this is an outlier case where one person has taken that step, and beyond that, I don't see it snowballing into a let's kill all the CEOs that have ever done us dirty kind of thing.
But yeah, obviously it's been an issue because as in like it's a fear for CEOs. I mean, Mark, like I said, that there was a report Mark Zuckerberg like pays like 23 million a year just on his own personal security, because, you know, he's a wealthy individual, he's a high figure. Like this guy isn't hated, but this other guy wasn't famous. Like he wasn't visibly known. Like never heard of this Brian Thompson guy until yesterday, and obviously, well, we wouldn't have heard of him anyway because he's not part of our zeitgeist.
Well,
so yeah, like you can see why these other people will now start protecting themselves, because like you got to wonder how much Elon Musk must pay for security every year. He's got to pay,
turn up at these rallies.
He must pay shitloads. Yeah,
it's crazy.
And also, just it's nothing to them as
Drop
well.
in the ocean. Yeah,
it's like I pay 40 million on security, and
I sneezed. I dropped that down the toilet last week. Whatever.
So yeah, I mean, it's surprising that guy was actually walking on his own as well. To be honest with you, considering he was probably pretty fucking wealthy. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I think I agree. I think that I imagine lots of senior people in similar positions will step up their security.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And I think that, unfortunately, it may be another step towards a corpo feudalistic future.
Yeah.
Basically, where
we can't trust the regular populace, so we're going to
so we're going to put the walls up. We're going to it's what happens when you have too much poverty and too much division of wealth. Yeah. If you look at the West, we're pretty much just coming into that now. I mean, of course, there's been a lot of poverty in the West for a long time, but if you look at other places in the world, Africa, for example, where, you know, Western countries have come in and tried to coexist in Africa, and they've just had to put up gated communities, massive walls, guards everywhere, even, you know, in modern Africa. I don't see how we're not going to end up that way. In that, where if wealth division and poverty increases, they're just going to have to do that. You know, if you go to Canary Wharf in London, I was there recently for Comic-Con. I stayed there and I wandered around in the evening just to take some photos of like the Millennium Dome and shit like that across the river. I could not get over how many private security are around those flats. Canary Wharf has got a couple of hotels in it, but it's also, well, I mean, there's a huge financial district, but I was in an area that had a load of flats, really, really, really expensive, high-end flats, 2-bed flats, like 700 grand, probably more. And there was about 15 private security on my 20-minute walk. There was a guy with a dog doing patrols constantly with an attack dog, and I like, because if they don't, I asked him, like, why are there so many security around here? And he's just like, well, the local kids will just come by and just start doing windows and all this sort of stuff, and like breaking into cars. And they're just like, we just don't want that kind of stuff around here.
Poverty patrol.
Yeah, it is poverty. It's literally poverty patrol, because they know that all the people around there have so much wealth. There's a good chance there might be an iPad in the back of the car or something like that. You know?
I see.
And
they're angry and poor, and the wealth is on their fucking doorstep.
Yeah.
Like just bravado.
Yeah.
So it's creating this disparity. So it's like, we'll get bigger dogs, more security, more aggression.
And I think that's just going to keep happening, unfortunately. I'd like to think that this would be some form of change, but
it's not, is it? 'Cause what was that guy who bought that Wu-Tang album that was one made? The guy who literally raised the price of like insulin. Because they bought his company bought the patent or something. Then
didn't he go to prison? He's disappeared now.
He went to prison or something for a bit. But like the hatred that flowed towards this guy online was crazy. Like everyone just suddenly hated this guy, and obviously his reasoning for it was because Martin Shkreli, because his reasoning was, this doesn't affect the consumer. This affects insurance companies, so they can raise the price and then fuck over insurance companies. But surely that eventually trickles down to the person who's paying for that insurance. Yeah. So like it's still fucking someone over for medicine, which it's going to be a sore spot for anyone. But like, shit like that happened, shit like this happens, and they replaced the CEO the next day. It's like nothing ever happened. So like, how much of that it does really matter? But you can see why people
all it does is reinforce the people that have the money to make a difference. Yeah. Like the people that are impoverished or scammed by insurance companies don't exactly have a thing they can do other than radicalize and have people shoot people. Yeah. Whereas the billionaires can just put up more walls and afford that. So they've got the upper hand, so to speak.
As long as the status quo doesn't fully crumble.
But I wonder how much
you've got to maintain a bit of the status quo, so all the systems still function and people care. But I
wonder how much of their echo chamber or whatever, their kind of circle, do they even think about that kind of thing happening until like it does, and then like, oh shit, like fuck, we should probably watch out. Next time we walk across the road.
I've got a bit of a theory about this. So really rich people are international people, right? They don't necessarily call one country their home. And I think people who travel a shitload, for us, right, we've grown up and lived and, we've holidayed a fair bit. We've had very lucky to have traveled quite a lot thanks to Hat Films and you guys. And we still have lived, all of our life in England. I think we see the world as this, as we'd like everybody. We understand that everybody could have a shot, and especially looking at things like the welfare state, we like the idea that we could at least look after everybody, that nobody's ever going to be like truly fucked in our society, like we can help them out, right? I think people like Elon Musk and other people like that who are very, very rich, they travel around the world a lot and they see places like India, they see places like Africa, South Africa, for example, where Elon Musk is from. And there, it's much less normal to have everybody okay. There, it's much more normal to have rich enclaves and places you don't go. And that's just normal for them. And they're like, well, yeah, I live in the nicest part of San Francisco. I live in the nicest part of California. I live in these, like with all these other people who have similar success to me. And you get that enclave experience, right? And I'm not saying just them. I mean, there's a lot of liberal elites who are often criticized as well in the US for being the same problem. It's partly why the Democrats lost the election in the US is, this idea that they're also rich elites that really live in their own bubble. And I just think that they don't worry about this idea of having to put the walls up, having to put the security up, because they do that in like half of the rest of the world. They just don't currently have to do it in the countries that we live in, but you're gonna have to eventually. I think that's kind of part of it. Like I think that's why they don't worry as much, or they don't see it so dystopic. But
in this scenario, it's like money over morals, right? That's, I guess, some of the crux of it is like this guy's happy to cut off shitloads of healthcare because he's going to get a bonus and a raise and all this other stuff. And everyone fucking hates that. I mean, once people get to the top, you fucking hate them. Let's be honest. People would rather see someone topple.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think of the human in amongst that got to that point. It's like, what is driving those decisions? They can't just be psychotic, right?
No,
it's investor pressure, something like that.
It'll be like the circle of friends they're in when they're at school, circle of people they grow up with, people who they work with, and obviously when they excel, they're surrounded by people who are bigging them up. Like, they're not highlighting saying, "Oh mate, you should probably feel immoral for cancer." They're saying, "Oh mate, you just got us X amount percentage increase this year. Here's a raise. You've done great."
Well,
they're being rewarded for doing these things.
I think it's also...
So I don't know if they're putting that necessarily at the forefront, and obviously because they're dealing with mass numbers, it's like, you know, a dictator. Like, they're talking about killing millions, but they don't give a fuck, because they're not talking about an individual emotional point. It's like, when you kill millions, that's just an arbitrary number. You can't even visualize that. So it's like, maybe it's just getting lost in that.
It's probably getting
mess.
lost, but I reckon there's also a negative pressure as well. Not just like, well done, you've increased shares.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't increase shares or like profits for our investors, they're going to come for you and your job is lost or whatever. You know, I reckon.
Well, yeah, but it's just climbing the ladder.
Not
isn't
saying, I'm not excusing any of it. I'm just trying to think of the human that's there.
Yeah.
Why are they making these? It can't all just be like, that's great because I got more money.
Yeah.
There's got to be.
But at the end of the day,
you know,
that is the motivation. You know, they're climbing the ladder. They're probably getting more power, more respect from their peers, and that's making their life better, whilst making other people's worse. It's just that's the way it is.
Humans.
It is.
You know, billionaires, you know, have to shit on people to get to where they are.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it.
You've got to also think about, like, what are the things that stop you doing some of the things that others do that you think are bad. Like, you know, like, it's about where did your
morals come from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, when you look at specifically rich people, a lot of them, because of the structure of their lives, it's actually quite difficult to be a good parent. It's quite difficult to receive good parenting. You know, if you use private boarding institutions, if you're you know, people whose parents are very, very rich, usually just working constantly, you know, like it's, so I imagine they don't get that early moral kind of like, is that a good idea to do that? You know, should you be doing this? There's no like, there's no.
Then your I guess your moral compass is then pointed towards that person who is working all the time, and that's your perception of what a life should be.
Yeah. Exactly.
Potentially.
Exactly.
Obviously, the psychology behind it, which I'm no fucking
our
psychologist, so I can't.
Is a little disenfranchised by our upbringing, because the generation before us was taught, if you just get into a good, stable job, you'll have a nice, stable job for the rest of your life, and all these promises of, like, if you just keep working hard, you'll keep getting promoted and you're going to earn a great life.
A perfect meritocracy.
The perfect meritocracy that is not awarded to the people that are rich. Turns out the truth is very much not that at all. And we all kind of feel like we're shafted and we're disenfranchised with the society that's promised us all these things. If we just work hard, we'll get more. But yeah, I think maybe that's causing a lot of tension.
It's causing a huge amount of problem. I mean, it is fundamentally, I think, one of the core causes of tension, as you put it. Like, 100%. The idea that the reward loop of working, of giving yourself purpose and putting in effort is broken. Like, what's the point?
And then you get told, like, you know, the reason that house prices and everything are going up, and state pensions, and the spending of the generation above you, and how they collapse the housing market is like, great, thank you. You fucked everything, and then you're also trying to eat your cake as well. As it's just, it makes you jaded.
And politicians with lacking the ability to implement any kind of rental laws or limitation of people speculating on property. I mean, it's in part our parents' fault and the generations before us, but the problem, and I've always heard it described like this, and I think it's true, one of the very few ways for people to make any real money in the last 30, 40 years was speculating on property. Everything else was hard. Everything else was like limited by your education. Everything else was limited by your location. You know, so that's why they did it. Unfortunately, the problem is people didn't stop at 1 or 2 or 3. They got greedy.
It kept working for them, and they get
working.
more and more wealthy.
Yeah.
And you know, naively, they were like, "You just do this as well, son, daughter, and I've just got a great leg up for you, so carry this on."
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that. It turns out the housing market inflates so much that no one can afford it.
But it's been sold to people as that's a business.
Yeah.
So then it's like,
get a portfolio.
It's a legitimate business, but then you are dealing with also just the fact that there is a housing crisis. You know, they're not building houses fast enough.
Yeah.
People are now having to, you know, wait until their parents die to move out of their house and actually buy a place. So like that side of things takes that business element that makes it a moral question as well, right? Like if you own like 20 flats and you're just, maybe that is your business, but like at the same time, it's like, I don't know, it's a muddy area because it's a bit of an issue when it comes to when you hike your prices.
You want to earn your cut out of it, right? Therefore you can't reduce the prices to make it affordable for someone. Yeah, it's just.
But you're right. It should be something at the governmental level of like making sure it's viable for people.
Which is why Hat Films, I think this is a nice lead in. We're introducing cardboard houses. Hat Films cardboard houses.
Oh, wow.
Coming up really soon. What we're going to do is take recycled cardboard and just start putting boxes out in places, and we're going to make them really, really cheap and affordable. And you can live in them whenever you want.
Yeah, you just need to make sure you subscribe. That's literally it.
Just subscribe.
And we'll just cover the land in cardboard homes.
Hat Films Cardboard City.
I've got a fun, light-hearted little story about this, actually, if we want to just segue into that as well.
Sure.
You know the big boxes that TVs come in?
Yeah.
Like they're like the biggest boxes I can think of.
Thin, though.
Yeah, well, they weren't back in the
used
day.
to be, did they? They used to be. Yeah.
So my parents got, when I don't know, about 2001, probably. No, before that. I don't know, around that time. No, about late 90s. They got a TV, a plasma TV. Wow, that was big news in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And
can't tilt them forward too much.
No, why is that?
Because it bleeds out the cells or something.
Jesus.
When I worked at Curry's, someone tilted too far, and this huge pink line like came down. And so like they were always told, be careful if you lean too fast. I don't think it was always a risk, but like it's just if it got knocked, you'd start seeing bleeding.
Oh, God.
So plasma was a risk.
But yeah, it came in this giant box, and me as like a 10-year-old or whatever I was back then, I was like, it's an instant tent.
Yeah.
Because it was like so you could make it into like a little pyramid or like a little triangle.
Little flaps.
So you'd like fold it out like that, and I'd pitch the top, and I took it out into the garden in like, I don't know, November. Got in it.
Nice and wet then.
It wasn't wet that night. Took it out, put like a blanket down, put like this box over the top of me.
Freezing.
And I was like, yay! And then what I did is I like flopped some more blankets like around one end and the other end, and then I just stayed in there for a couple of hours, and then I just started to sweat. And it got so hot. You'd never believe, because it was like triple wall cardboard with zero breathability, because it was all like coated. And it turns out really warm. But they don't breathe at all.
City.
The thing got like, the inside started getting all damp from where I was perspiring.
Oh, really?
And then in the morning,
Condensation on it.
I got up and it just like bended in like this. All of it got so.
We're gonna need some T's and C's with our weather. There's no weatherproofing.
But punch a hole in it as well, just to get that humidity
get a few
out.
air holes in there. Also, you're kind of like a pet in that. I know the TV wasn't for you as a gift, but the pet always prefers the fucking box instead of the really expensive TV that it came with.
Totally. Especially at the time when I was younger.
Oh yeah, I'll take the box, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All my cartoons are in standard definition anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, great times in cardboard boxes. You can buy cardboard tents as well. I've seen them, but they last like, they were designed for festivals. So the idea is
the way that people waste tents at festivals is kind of crazy. So, I mean, at least you can recycle it, or it's mulches.
You just go straight to the recycling after. Yeah. So it's like they last about 3 or 4 days, but if it's heavy rain,
it won't last that long. No.
But that's the thing. Tents are so cheap, you can just buy them and throw them away. That's
Get one from
the
Asda,
problem with Amazon and Asda and whatever.
Asda,
bin bag it.
So
well, this has been a really intense hat chat.
We're not CEOs. Don't come after us.
We're not CEOs.
Well, I mean, kind of.
Well, I guess
we don't really have that structure.
Films, I suppose. Yeah,
we're kind of 3 parts.
We're not in charge of other people's healthcare.
No,
which I think is the main crux of that.
I think
big story.
Like, taking one of us out would ruin Hat Films.
It'd be pretty devastating. Even if they took out Craig. Sorry, Craig.
What do they need? Write Craig's bullet?
Yeah, killing Craig.
Sucky. What are you writing on the bullet casing? If you're taking out Craig, what are you writing? Just eat shit.
That last thumbnail wasn't great.
Or like,
this is why you do
the thumbnail. They can do all the thumbnails.
We're not
CEOs. I'm glad we got that.
Yeah. We're not billionaires.
I reckon we give it at least a week before we put up a job listing of Craig's position.
Yeah. What, to not make it
week and a half?
Out respect.
Week and a half? Maybe
respect.
2 weeks?
Just not too sus.
He's here. He's listening to us. He can hear everything.
He's right back. I can hear everything.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, we have to bury Thomas with Craig, don't we?
We do.
Well, yes,
unfortunately, I don't think he realised that was in his contract at the time. Thomas will be buried with him.
Sorry, there's an Egyptian pharaoh clause
but we can't kill Thomas. He has to just lay with him.
Yeah.
To lay with him until he dies.
How fucked must that have been?
That's so
Can we just
fucked.
bear in
Wait,
mind-
sorry, that was the thing.
So,
The-
so
It's a real
occasionally
thing.
they'd be buried with living servants and living animals, cats, in the dark.
So they'd all
the
help
cats
you go
would
to
eat the body.
afterlife.
Surely they couldn't get through the. Well, I guess
Well, they
in some
wouldn't
cases they couldn't get through the
embalming.
fucking.
Yeah. But I mean, probably the cats might end up eating the servants that would die. But like, yeah, they would get sent to the afterlife with all of the stuff they needed.
Yeah.
And the
Just imagine
cat's-
being in a dark ass. So you're inside.
The cat's going to live for a while if it's eating a human, man.
and the lights have gone out because the oil they left you to burn has gone out. So now you're in the dark with 3 hungry cats
And a dead
and
body.
a dead body.
Oh my
And
god!
riches beyond your wildest
And
dreams.
riches beyond
that
your
you
wildest-
could never take out.
Horrifying.
What a horrible
God.
way to go.
I'd really try and create a really wacky scene for like the grave robbers to find in 2,000 years time.
What is
though.
this? What is this body pointing to?
Yeah. Why did he eat all the gold? Why did he eat the cats?
Had to eat them before they ate me.
Oh my god!
It says that in blood on the floor that you scrawled out.
Yeah, it's probably more likely they would eat the cats, right?
Yeah.
But it'd be so dark.
By the way,
in there.
that's our plan. We've had that in writing. If Craig were to ever be assassinated, Thomas is being buried with him.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a Craig request as well. He asked for that,
yeah. So,
didn't you, Craig?
a true editor's death.
It's in my will.
It's in his will.
It's in his
put it
will.
in there.
Yeah.
Good.
Interestingly, our views on or our listens on podcasts have been super stable for like ages now, and I wonder whether at what point people will stop listening because they're too
What's been
Scared.
stable?
Scared.
our listens on our podcast.
Right.
I'm just thinking, like, obviously this was quite a dark one. This podcast,
Less jokey. No bananas. No. Although there was a slight banana story just
Yeah.
about that guy eating the banana that he spent like $6 million on.
yeah,
But that's only because he can replace it. So that's not really.
that's
It's a non-story.
It is a non-story.
It's a non-story.
It's a weird one, isn't it? It's a little bit pointless.
Yeah.
Imagine 6 million going to anything else. What it could do, like the Jingle Jam.
Well, yeah, exact work. Yeah, exactly. I
That's
think
always
that's,
a
I think that's
positive.
mostly people's issues with these things. It's like
Yeah.
money could be going to more worthwhile causes than a banana taped to a wall.
Like Greenlight, a
Like-
new Hat Films venture
Yeah.
where your money can go towards fantastic projects.
God, I think we could make a Marvel epic for 6 million. Well, you couldn't make them up. There's 200 million.
If you're a Patreon member who
you
supports
could make
this,
something nice.
or if you're a Twitch
Patreon.
subscriber or a YouTube member, you can go onto our Discord and then link that to Hat Films Greenlight, and you get to vote on upcoming projects.
Yeah, you're already subscribed, so you already get a vote per month on projects that we're going to make. And once they get all their votes to 100%, they go into production. So, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more. If you would like to check it out, there will be a live stream VOD on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/hatfilms, where we discuss Greenlight at length and answer some questions about it and stuff. But until then,
Do Prime subs count?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
if
they
you
do.
have a subscription of some kind, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, at all, you get a vote.
Yeah, we've
Right.
tried to
Just
amalgamate
got to
them
link
all
it
into
to your
one
Discord.
place.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that a lot more in outside of this podcast. So come check out our YouTube channel on Hat Films. And until then, have a great week.
Don't worry about the nukes.
Don't worry about
It's
the
literally
links.
pointless to worry about.
Because you won't even know it's going to
Can't do
happen,
it.
Think
and
of
then when
it
it
that way.
happens, you won't even know it happened.
No.
So don't worry.
Can't
About it.
DM.
Enjoy every day. Exactly. Try and find joy in everything you do. Because
I'm increasing my nap lengths so that I don't have to stay awake.
Well, that seems kind of crazy.
we kind of just
That's a madman.
sleep the
narrative.
day.
Sleep the day.
I try to sleep as much as possible so I
Okay,
don't have to
for
live
yeah.
much.
the cat tactic. Anyway,
Yeah.
see you all next week. Have a great one. Goodbye.
It's all right.
Well, maybe we won't.
We won't. We won't. No, it might get nuked. Bye.
Cause you know I've had this rush since I was 5 years old. All these doctors trying to help me, but I can't be told what it is, who I am, what this scratch is meant to mean. And my haters think I'm dirty, I don't wanna be clean. Yeah, cause I'm wrapped with smell. Bitch, I might be better, but you just can't tell. Clothes coming out, better wipe me down. These rights I need are a medical gal.
Cause I don't write red, don't it know me, tell me how I am.
the itch and it's fucking up my brain. Got a dark red patch and I'm rapping with this pain. It's incurable. Got no cream for this. Only meds I've got are the raps I spit. Find a cure. I've gotta find a cure. I've been rubbing this rat with a broken handsaw and I hate it. But I gotta fucking fake it. This remedy's this melody, I guess I'll fucking take it. Cause you know that this rush is out 5 years old. All these doctors trying to help me, but I can't be. Nobody is who I am. What this rush is meant to me. If my hands think I'm dirty, I don't wanna be clean. Yeah, cause I'm rich with smell. Bitch, I might be fatal, but you just can't tell. Clothes coming out, better weight me down. Only threats I need are a medical. They're a medical. They're a medical. They're a medical. They're a medical. With a broken handsaw and I hate it, but I gotta fucking